Now, how about them damn Celtics?
All right, we're back with another Boston Celtics video. Sam and I are here recording Friday, August 15th, talking about Anfernee Simons. So, Kurt Helen of NBC Sports recently wrote up an article. It was called Looking Ahead, 21 Potential NBA Free Agents in the Class of 2026. And he wrote about Anfernee Simons. Anfernee Simons, obviously on a $27 million expiring contract this year. He said Simons was traded to a Celtics team that liked his ability to score, averaging 19.3 points and 4.8 assists a game last season. He can get a bucket from anywhere on the court, and Boston needs that next to Jaylen Brown. However, the Celtics are not done dealing and may try to move Simons at the deadline, and even if they don't, he may not be in their long-term plans once Jason Tatum returns. How the season goes for Simons will determine where his salary goes from the $27 million he's making this season, but he very well could be a free agent. Now, this isn't a report or anything. This is him talking about where free agents could go, what could happen to them. So don't take any of that as gospel. However, I think Kurt makes a good point of what should the Celtics do with Anfernee Simons? The question being based on what the Simons going to do after the season. Like, do they want to pay him? How much are they willing to pay him? How much are teams around the league going to be willing to pay him? Even if there's not a market in free agency, how many teams are going to try to draw him away and sign? Like, there's all this stuff going on of whether or not, Simons will stick around in Boston. I think the biggest question is how much of a future do they see with him in Boston? And his free agency looming does certainly add a wrinkle to it.
Yeah, and I mean, the free agency is a big thing, but it's almost like a double-edged sword. While it is bad to not have him in team control, like you don't like that, it's uncertain. In today's NBA, you don't see a lot of situations like this where somebody who could be an important part of the season, like the offense, whatever role they give him, if he thrives in it, they would miss him if he left. But at the same time, taking a look around the league, I don't know how much accuracy this has. I always get confused with these kind of things.
The thing is, there's not a lot of money, but I think free agency being fake is only applicable to free agents who are probably going to get paid more than mid-level. And I could very easily seeing Anfernee Simons just taking a mid-level somewhere to prove himself, right? And
Well, even
that
then,
type of contract will be available to, I think, more teams than we realize.
it might be available to the Celtics depending on what they do with their cap.
It's true. But then the problem of Anfernee Simons being an unrestricted free agent becomes, does he want to go back to Boston, or would he rather go somewhere else where he might have a larger role? Like that's where the issue comes up. Like the lack of team control being within, like,
Right.
with the Celtics. Like he's free to go wherever for a contract that a lot of different teams could probably pay him. I think that's where the wrinkle comes in of, like, do we need to trade him? Like, because I don't even think they know, or we know, or anybody knows how he's going to fit. Obviously, we've never seen it.
The question is what his priorities are. Does he want to be the guy somewhere? Does he want to have the ball in his hands all the time? Does he want to start? How much money does he want to make? How much is winning important to him? Because if winning is important to him, Tatum is a big selling point here. Like if the fit is decent this season, the bulk of the core he'll be playing with will be back. You would assume it will be Derek, Jalen, Peyton, Simons when Tatum is back. And they feel like they can push for a championship, then why would he not want to be a part of that if that's his priority? But if his priority is other things where he thinks, like, for example, let's look at Cam Thomas. Somewhat similar player, maybe a little bit worse than Anfernee Simons, depending on how you feel about it. Guy thinks he's worth $40 million, doesn't care, wants to get paid. If that's the situation you run into next year, that's tough. The Celtics won't be able to pay that kind of money. If there are teams that want to pay that kind of money, I'm sure there are avenues for them to get there, even if it's not like mid-level exception. Though the mid-level exception does open the door for more teams to come in, as you said. The projection right now in Spot Track of cap space, the only team with positive cap space is Brooklyn with $33.8 million. The Bucks are the next closest team with negative $21 million. And
Is this for next summer?
More that goes into this for next summer.
Well, but if you scroll down, I'm on that page. Teams who could potentially have the non-taxpayer MLE: Hawks, Celtics,
Correct.
Hornets, Bulls, Mavs, Nuggets, Pistons, Warriors, Rockets, Pacers, Clippers, Lakers, Grizzlies, Heat, Bucks, Wolves, Pelicans, Knicks, Sixers, Suns, Blazers, Spurs, Kings, Raptors, Wizards, Jazz. That is almost the entire league who could offer the non-taxpayer MLE to Anfernee Simons if they run their books correctly, right? Literally the only ones who could not are the Cavs, Thunder, and Magic, right? based on these projections from Spot Track, right? And if you're Anfernee Simons and you want to win, I think the Celtics are a pretty good option. However, if you're Anfernee Simons and you want to win and you think you can slot into a sort of, third scorer role, there are teams around the league where you might be able to, one, get more opportunities to have the ball in your hands and try to win, right? You look at the Timberwolves. They don't really have a backup guard behind Anthony Edwards. You'd probably be the secondary, tertiary scorer on that basketball team. You look at a team like the Mavericks, right? If the Mavericks are trying to win sooner rather than later, you could be, next to Kyrie Irving in the backcourt over there. If you want to, join the Pacers, the Rockets, if they wanted another guard off the bench behind Fred VanVleet, or even to replace Fred VanVleet when he, eventually retires or moves into a 6-man role. Like, there are other options, I think. And I don't think, like, this isn't me saying trade Anfernee Simons, you're going to lose him. Like, he's definitely gone. There's a real chance, like you said, you get sold by Jason Tatum, you get sold by being the 6th man behind Peyton Pritchard or fighting for that role. I don't think he should start over Pritchard, but, whatever you want to do, hell yeah, run it. I think he's an elite offensive player. I think it could work. I think he's a great fit in Missoula ball. However, at the end of the day, he's going to have that freedom to decide. And if we get to that point and you lose Anfernee Simons for nothing, you traded Drew Holiday for nothing, right? You traded the cap relief. That's a win, right? Like, it sucks to talk about it in that context, but getting off that Drew Holiday contract where it was, good. Like, good. That's a good thing. However, you have the potential ability to flip him at the deadline. And I mean, clearly there's not a lot of market for him right now because teams don't really want to match that 27-7. And maybe that's part of the problem and it leads to that. But his impending free agency should definitely be a part of the equation. On the flip side, you need to determine if he fits or not, because if he doesn't fit that well this season and you can't find a deal at the deadline, then it kind of just is what it is, right? You lose him for nothing, but it doesn't make sense to keep him. So there's just a lot of things to consider with the Anfernee Simons situation.
Yeah, and there's part of it too with the trades where you're absolutely right. Like, there is no market. That's all of the reporting right now. That's everything we're hearing from insiders is nobody's really knocking at the door, ringing Brad Stevens' phone to call and get Anfernee Simons. With that being said, if the Celtics are looking to trade him beyond getting value back for Drew Holiday, which is a good piece of this, like, when you take a step back and you look at, like, the flow chart of how they rebuilt or, like, netted profits from the team they had, having a big fat zero under Holiday and essentially a negative next to Porzingis unless RJ Lewis pans out is a very tough pill to swallow. But at the same time, if you have to attach something to Simons to trade him because you want to avoid the luxury tax, which we discovered by me talking to you, where you were like, they actually have to be under it for 2 years for it to reset, it's not even worth it. It's not worth it at that point. You might as well keep him, and losing him for nothing is the lesser of two evils. I think there's real value in him starting the season here and, like, seeing what he can do, seeing how Missoula uses him, seeing how he fits off the bench. Like, maybe he does like it. I don't know. With there being no interest, what the upside to swinging a deal on him sooner rather than later would be. And even at the trade deadline, you're probably not going to get cap relief for it. If you have him for the first half of the season, you hope he shows out really well and some team really talks himself into, oh, this guy could be a great secondary scorer off the bench. We'll give you something for him. And that's where it lands for me.
Yeah, I think it's just going to depend on what the trade landscape looks like at the NBA trade deadline. Is there any value you can extract? And if not, how much do you like him? And we won't really know that until it happens. But let us know what y'all think of the Anfernee Simons situation. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and all that same thing.
Hey, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the Anfernee Simons situation. We are here every single day if you subscribe to the channel. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps up to one after each game. Other videos are here in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find the two of us on Spotify and Apple too. All pods and game recaps are there, so if you just want the audio versions, good, follow. They will go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very, very much. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We're reading them every single time we do a full pod, so get them in, hbtcpod@gmail. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Twitter's Jax1NBA. Mine's at Samuel France NBA.
Taco, come on. Taco.